Hi. Right, well, I thought I would do another movie review today. This time for a film called The Deep House. It was made this year, actually. Well, it came out this year, and it's directed by two French filmmakers called Alexandre Bastillo and Julien Maury, who directed a film called Inside a few years ago, which was pretty disturbing. I should mention at this point that I won't be including any footage or stills from the film, not least because I don't know exactly where I would stand legally with that. So it's going to be my voice and the promo image from the film, kind of like a podcast, I guess. So I hope that's okay. Okay, well, Deep House is set mainly in France, like the director's other films. They also did a film called Livid, which looks interesting, but I haven't actually seen that one yet. The lead actors are Camille Rowe and James Jagger, the son of Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones, actually. And it's kind of a hybrid of found footage horror and more straight up haunted house movie, which kind of reminded me of the film Session 9 for some bizarre reason. I'm not sure why. I think it's probably the atmosphere of the piece. Rowe and Jagger, then, they play a couple who are into urbex, urban exploration, and they film their footage, they film their adventures and put the footage on YouTube. And the film opens with them exploring an apparently haunted hospital in the Ukraine, where a nurse is supposed to have gone crazy and poisoned 7 kids. It's quite a short sequence, but it's very quickly and succinctly established that Rowe is the cautious one, and Jagger is kind of your standard cocky, overconfident arsehole, really. His character grated on me for the entire film, pretty much. Right, so after that, we're back in France, and the pair are planning to go to a lake to explore what is supposed to be a flooded town. They're going to have to be diving, so Rose's character is a little nervous about that, but is willing to go along for Jagger's character. And they show up at the lake and find things aren't exactly as they expected. So Jagger's character, rather predictably, starts to sulk, but they find a guy called Pierre, who offers to take them to a wooded area where there's a house which is somehow perfectly preserved at the bottom of the lake. It's the Deep House referred to in the title. Rowe is nervous about going, but Jagger's character really wants to explore the place, so she goes along with him. And the three drive out to the woods where the submerged house is supposed to be. They find the place fairly straightforwardly enough, but there seems to be something up with Pierre. He's creepy. He's a creepy guy. I won't blow the surprise, but he's not exactly what he seems, and he creeps Rowe and Jagger's characters out. But still, they get there, they get in the water with around an hour's worth of air and a bunch of high-tech gear, including Tom, who is a camera drone, and they begin their descent towards the house. They get down to the house at the bottom of the lake there, and immediately shit starts going pear-shaped. The MP3 player that Jags' character has got starts making strange noises, wildlife behave weirdly, standard haunted house stuff, basically. Rose's character gets nervous, but Jagger's character is a bit of a dumbass, and he wants at all costs to get into the house so that he can put the footage on YouTube, get millions of views, and become successful on the platform. So they look around the outside of the house, which has its own crypt, which is quite spooky, until they eventually find an entrance. Once inside, we find out that the house was owned by an at least moderately wealthy family who may have been associated in some way with the disappearance of several children in the area back in the 1950s, I think. Go from room to room. The music and sound effects are used very well to create a creepy and claustrophobic atmosphere. After some time, we find that the house is indeed haunted and that the family that lived there were into some pretty dark stuff. A little time later, we find that there was a tragedy at the house and that there is a link between the family and one of the characters we've met earlier in the film, which, while pretty standard really for the genre, obviously, freaks out the characters a bit. At this point, the characters end up getting separated and each goes through their own personal hell, and all the while the air is running out. So it's, again, fairly standard haunted house stuff, but with the added pressure of being underwater and the air is running out, which is an interesting choice, I think. Now, when the characters come back together near the end of the film, we hear a bit of the history of what happened to the family and what they were up to, and there's another tragedy. Again, nothing really out of the ordinary for this type of film, but the moment is relatively effective, and it leads to an ending which is both moderately tense and yet wholly inevitable given the setup and what we learn about the characters. The usual tried and tested haunted house bollocks is in evidence. You got jump scares, malfunctioning tech, spooky things the family has kept in jars and cupboards and shit. We've got hallucinations that the characters have, and the house also changes shape around them a little bit. So from that standpoint, it's quite standard, but again, it's underwater, which is a nice little touch. And yeah, what makes the film really stand out really is the sets. They've managed to make the house look pretty much exactly how it would when it was on dry land. The doors are closed, the paintings are on the wall, the copper pans are shiny, the wallpaper is stuck firmly in place, stuff like that. Now, how they got the wallpaper to stick for as long as they would have needed to underwater, I don't know. Probably they used some kind of specialist glue, or it was painted to look like 50s wallpaper, or they put something up that was waterproof and looked like wallpaper. I'm not sure, but that was one of the things that stuck out for me, how hard that would be, really. So yeah, from a logistical point of view, I think it's an above average film for its type. Only got 5.5 on IMDb, which I thought was quite low, given how nice it looks and how much work obviously went into it. But I think ultimately what lets it down is the acting. A lot of lines, particularly from Jagger's character, sounding rather forced, in my opinion. It doesn't sound natural necessarily, but again, that's not necessarily a criticism given the type of film it is, but something with his acting just didn't gel for me. So yeah, it's not a perfect film by any means, and if you don't like the genre, it's not gonna convert you to liking the genre, all in all. But it's perfectly serviceable and impressively designed, and competently directed, and should appeal to fans of underwater horror, haunted house movies, and those who have a taste for a bit of faux reality and found footage cinema mixed in with the more tried and tested narrative approach. Okay, well, that's it. Not much more to say, really. That was my review of The Deep House. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would say that if you like this kind of film, it probably is worth giving it a look. The sets and the atmosphere are quite well done, I think. That said, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that other good stuff, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.